Hi, Sebastian. Sarah from the upcoming. Such a pleasure to have you here with us. So can you give us the elevator pitch? Why should people watch Getaway?
Nick Frost, Aisling Bea, blood, laughs, gore, scary, funny, surprising, and at the end of it all, you get to see the beautiful Finland, which we say is Sweden.
Spot on. And of course, you're probably a bit too young. I did grow up on the likes of Shaun of the Dead. I love the way this sort of combo of comedy and horror comes together in films like that. And here it is again. Did you grow up watching films like that? And there's also maybe hints of Wicker Man, maybe Midsummer. How do you think it sits within the genre?
Yeah. Okay, well, obviously I grew up watching the Cornetto Trilogy and all of Nick Frost's work. It's funny because it in some ways feels like it's in the same world as them, but also going in and expecting any of those one things I feel would be a mistake, because you kind of just have to go in with no expectations and watch and feel what happens. It's definitely surprising. It definitely will give you those kind of like horror kicks and the like dark comedy where you're like, I can't believe they just said that, which is kind of what I love from those films. Like, you're not sure if you should laugh or like squint. Yeah, I mean, it's the mind of Nick Frost, and it's just really exciting to have something new and a new world to dive into.
From the get-go, I mean, you as a family dynamic, all these relationships feel so lived in and you're all just bouncing off each other. What's it like having Maisie as your sister, but also Aisling and Nick as your parents?
It was a really beautiful thing, and we definitely became a family. I think something about being in a country that's so far away from your home, and you've all just come here together to make a film, and you find yourselves having dinner every night and hanging out on the weekends. So the family part of it was kind of the easy part, because I definitely felt like Nick was my dad and Aisling was my mum, which I feel like kind of the dream parent situation.
And in terms of the comedy, you know, I was watching it and I was like, maybe part of it that makes it so funny is you're kind of playing it straight behind, but you know, despite all the ridiculousness that might be going on in the background, the comedy almost comes from, you know, the discrepancy between this sort of like normally family dynamic going on their holiday and the situation they're in. So how do you find those comedy beats, and particularly when you're riffing off other people?
I think what I loved was it really starts as a story about a family dynamic, and all the extreme and crazy things that happen come from that, without spoiling anything. But I really felt like there were some situations where I was like, I would want to do that, or I can see why someone would do that, or that's what it feels like when you're in your family, where you're like, I could kill this person. So I loved that all of the craziness came from that. And then I think, look, Nick and Aisling are so good at what they do, and like Nick is just like a genius. He's a great writer and a great actor, and so for me it was like I didn't want to go in and start kind of improvising or anything. Like, they're so good at that, so I just kind of, I guess, approached it in the way I know how, which is as an actor, and let the script do the funny and the awkward and everything. Also, I really feel like Sam is a complicated 3D character who I don't think thinks he's in a comedy at all. It's very serious. So I found that very enjoyable, yeah.
And being on set with people who are such veterans of comedy, did you feel like you were watching them and, you know, picking up any tips, or you're asking for them in that way, or is it just kind of like being in their vicinity was almost an education in itself?
I think I should have learned some things, and I did, but I was laughing slightly too hard. I think it was such a joy. I forgot to act sometimes because I felt like I was a fly on the wall, which I always have with Nick. Like, I forget how funny he is, and then I see him and I'm like, and I'm crying again. But no, it was amazing. I learned a lot from them. Yeah, I think they were very welcoming as well for me and Maisie to try things. They weren't like, this is our shtick, you guys have got to stay out the way. Yeah, I definitely corpsed one too many times on that film.
And like all Nick's classic films, I love the way it can move from comedy to these really emotional moments to the horror. Did you have a favourite moment on set? Did anything get completely ridiculous?
Yeah, there were a few moments of real sincerity which we discovered, which I think surprised me. Like a scene where I was like, oh, that's just a silly scene. And actually there's really touching moments where you're like there's a shot of Nick and Aisling where they're just sat next to each other kind of on a bench. And there's so much crazy stuff that's just happened. And then you get this really tender moment of a couple who you feel like are actually just kind of united in this moment. And I think things like that definitely surprised me.
Fantastic. Really enjoy the night. Congratulations on the film. Thank you.